Okay, so today I want to see how easy it is to use the latest AI software to turn a likeness from a photo or sketch into a game-ready 3D model. So the example I'm using here is the tragic 50s film star RONDO HATTON, kind of to see how well it handles unique face shapes. So what I've done here, the first thing I've done is I've just kind of knocked together a reference A pose. So I've just built this from just reference off the internet, 50 suits, and just mirrored it, obviously, RONDO's head, obviously. But the problem with this is that it's kind of too low res to be of any real use. So I've gone into ChatGTP and asked the ChatGTP to describe the image, which I'll show you why in a minute. So we've got the prompt here, tall humanoid figure, etc. And then I've gone over to DZINE, and image to image in DZINE is very useful because I've pasted the prompt in here and I've pasted the image in here, and then all I'm using it for really here is to upscale it and to consolidate all these wobbly bits, and obviously, little bits like the outline that we want to remove. So, if you take this right up and color match it and face match it and generate, you end up with something like this, and it, and it is changing the head, and in some cases it's giving strange claw-like leather slippers. You can download this, and it gives you the option to upscale, which is really useful because then you can create a really large image, which is great for creating 3D models. So 3D model wise, I've kind of ran it through DZINE. Still not entirely convinced by this. So what I've done next is I've moved over to Meshy. And so Meshy's given us the usual variations of the model. It's simply, image to 3D. So you choose the one you want. And so what I've done here is I've fiddled a lot. I've also been, all these versions here of me basically fiddling with the smart healing and the text editing to kind of create a coherent looking figure. Unfortunately, we have the head, it's changed the head completely, and we've got kind of evil Fred Siriex. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this head. So let's move on to stage 2. So the next step really is just to create a head on its own. So what I've done is I have taken this image and I've kind of used DZINE to upscale this, and then I'm moving towards removing the background. Oh, hello. So I've taken this back into image editing and then flipped it so that we've got a white background. Obviously it's cross-eyed, so then we use DZINE to consolidate this, using similar settings to what we had before with regards image to image. So you want to be keeping this up high, you want to keep the face match in there, and then I've also obviously used a ChatGTP prompt in here, again using this time the photograph of the head of RONDO HATTON's head. And so what we do there is we take that into Meshy. So it's done so I've just been, these are all versions of me mesh healing. So again, it's kind of squeezed, it's getting more generic when it's widened the head. The head's, RONDO HATTON's head is a lot taller and thinner. But again, I've just been smart healing and texture editing here. And also, unfortunately, we do have we've got kind of the lights are baked into the texture, which you probably want to avoid, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to just ignore that. And so you can download this, and then what's really happening here is we move on to Blender. And so what we want to do here is I've just taken the head off the previous version. I've downloaded it as an FBX, and I've just taken the head off the Fred Siriex head off and replaced it with the new high definition version of the head, and kind of I've just roughly added these things together. So I've just joined these things together. There's a few specifications you need to make sure that you've baked both these UV maps together. You need to make sure that both of your UV maps have the same name before you connect these two objects. It's a relatively complex procedure. There's some really nice videos that a really nice artist gentleman has put up, which I put links to below, so subscribe to him and to me as well, obviously. And so It's probably takes about half an hour to get these two items, the head and the body, combined, because obviously we can see now we do have a likeness. What I've also done is I've stretched the head to kind of more fit the actual shape of Rondo Hatton's head. And so the next thing is that you'll output this to an FBX, and then really we can go to Accurig. One quick thing which I discovered, which isn't really covered in the other videos, is that so you can press Ctrl J to combine these two objects. It was the head and the body, obviously, but the thing that it doesn't actually mention is that you need to delete out. Use this delete button to, once you've got the object selected, delete all the unused UV maps. Otherwise it'll default to those and you'll end up with a right old mess. So just keep the one UV map that both the head and the body are using, export that as an FBX. And if we remember, if I just quickly show you, remember when you're exporting your FBX that you want to put it on copy, and you want to click this little icon here so it's kind of filled boxes. Mesh, yeah, all good, you don't want the animation. So that's how I've exported it. These two, I haven't welded any of these vertices, it's just a head model stuck on a body model. Let's see how Accurig deals with that. Okay, so I'm just going to drag in my final combined character. So it doesn't seem to be having issues with the fact that it's effectively two separate meshes, which is great. So rig body, yes. So the shoulders, elbows, oh hang on, let me just turn symmetry on. Okay. Yeah, okay, so let's move on. So I've got symmetry turned on, so this should just do both hands at once. So if one is okay, the other one will also be okay, saving a bit of time. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Yeah, let's just have a look at the outputs. There's something going on with the textures here. I can probably have a look at this. I'm going to upload it to Actorcore so we can have a look at some animations. So yeah, this needs a bit more work with the rig. There's some funny stuff going on. So that's the version I tried before. We've got this one selected. So we go to motion, we go to free, which obviously you can buy any of these, but I'm just using free assets at the moment. So these are all the ones you can get 10 a day. So I've just been selecting 10 of these a day. So I've got one free prop that I've downloaded. I've just selected this for today because everybody needs a bench. So I'm just downloading this, and I haven't. I'm not using the Real Illusion Auto Setup. I haven't used those plugins in Unreal because we don't need those at the moment. So let's just download all those. So let's download the motion. So we need to choose the uploaded actor, which is this one. Next, 4096, embed texture, Unreal, 30 frames per second. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I'm now in Unreal 5.4, so I'm just going to drag in my fedora hat that I've got from Actorcore. So next I've made a folder called Rondo Rig. I'm going to bring in the Rondo model, just drag in the FBX in here. So I need to set T0. Let me have a look. This one needs to be ticked. Use T0 as ref pose. Okay, so I'm just bringing in the Accurig model so I can use that as a rig to put the animations onto. Okay, so happy days, that's all done it fine. And so now I can put animations in here. I should really put a folder called animations. So I'm just dragging in this FBX. And so the thing you need to do here before you can access import all is you need to find the correct rig to apply the animation to. So Rondo Final in this case. So I brought the animation in, and we can now just drag this into the scene. And if we press play, we can have a little look. So we've got some problems here where it's got an opacity map on the texture that it's brought in from Actorcore. So what I'm going to quickly do is I have made another texture, and I've done this by I've just basically brought in the original texture from the original PNG from Blender, made it into a material. It's got no opacity map. This is just the original diffuse map. So this is the one that I've just made, and yeah, that works okay. So to get this hat onto his head so it'll move with the head, what we need to do next is we want to go to new folder, let's call it blueprints, if I could spell. Right, so let's go into there, let's right click, let's create a blueprint class, let's make it an actor, let's call it Rondo Forever. So we want to open that. Let's do a save all. So we want to add a skeletal mesh, which is going to be Rondo. And we need to find the skeletal mesh, which is going to be, did I call it Rondo? So, and we want to add a static mesh hat. Okay, so for the static mesh, let's choose the hat. Oh, or the hoodoo. Okay, so that's fine. I mean, it looks more like a gangster now. Not quite what we're looking for, but this is a free asset, so let's go with it. And what we want to do is we want to attach this to one of the sockets. So let's try head. So as usual, it's flown off in some weird direction, so I'm just going to need to correct this back to the position. So the hat's kind of in position, and we've linked it to the parent socket. So the last thing we need to do is go to this little fella, go to the static mesh asset and get this texture changed out to the one that isn't weird. Okay, so to get Rondo with the hat, we are going to need to drag in this blueprint into the scene. So if we want to test out any of the animations, we can use an animation asset, and then we can go to this idle. Just as a test, obviously you can create a sequence in game, or you can blend these in game, an animation blend. So let's go to the first person map, let's go save all, let's drag in the idle animation, let's just see how it looks with the hat. Yeah, okay, so the hat's working, moving with the head. So just as a final touch, I'm just going to add in some moody lighting in respect to Rondo, so and then I'll finish up there.